Here I will be focusing on using the learner's mother tongue to enhance the English language pedagogy. I employed the bilingual method here, bilingual method of education to enhance the learning of English language, and the Manipuri language was used to enhance the understanding and critical learning of the English language. When we bring in the cultural relevance, when the comparison comes here, the of the various communities, the cultural items of the cultural traditions or the culture of the various communities, we also in a way we enhance the harmony and respect for one another. Today, the topic of discussion, as Madam Nicey introduced, is very aptly she has brought in the integration of language and culture. And when we talk of culture, the inclusivity of us, in us, in an individual, in the society, in everything around us. Now, when I say today, the discussion on language and culture, the integration of language and culture in pedagogy, I'll be looking at the English language pedagogy. So moving ahead, we have these topics to discuss ahead. The first one is language and culture in English language teaching. Here, I would be looking at, I would be putting up as to why culture is an important element. Why culture in language teaching, particularly English language teaching here in this context. The second point would be bilingual pedagogy and bilingualism, and a bit on National Education Policy 2020. Why bilingual pedagogy? Because when we talk of culture, we have to get into our language, into our mother tongue. So here I will be focusing on using the learner's mother tongue to enhance the English language pedagogy. Then the next portion would be a bit on classroom observations. This is more of practical part. I would be sharing one classroom intervention and its critical observations. Here I would be using bilingual method in an English language classroom. And the whole purpose of this deliberation today would be the final agenda, that would be nurturing and preserving the Indian knowledge system by integrating language and culture in a language pedagogy. Yes, now we start. Before starting, yes, we all are researchers, we all are teachers. They might, as Nicey had introduced me earlier, the listeners today would comprise of parents, teachers, researchers, right? Even if we have students also, yeah, we need to think before starting the discussion. Just think of a classroom instruction, or it can be an activity where you can use the mother tongue of the learners to enhance the learning of the English language. You might be thinking here, I'm talking of culture and language. Why mother tongue, right? So we'll get to that as we move on, right? We'll get back to this later at the end of the session. Now, we start with this definition by Halliday. Language, to define language, it is neither an organism nor an edifice, but an activity consisting of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. This Halliday's definition on language brings out the four important language skills on, that is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And in language learning, the main focus is to develop the language skills by involving more on doing and practicing to know. We have to focus on this aspect: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and the language use, the context where these skills are used, right? So when we talk about the context, the culture comes to being now. So how is it relevant? We'll go ahead. As human beings, communication becomes easier when we share the same code. Therefore, in language teaching, one should learn that code and further use it correctly and appropriately. Generally, basic human needs are the same. One needs to agree on how to fulfill the needs in various situations and circumstances of life. Claire Grams is of the opinion that this shared experimental basis alludes to a belief to the idea of the characteristic feature of the translatable nature of one language into another. This belief has been incorporated to promote the practical and functional aspects of the teaching learning approach of foreign languages or second languages in the world, as asserted by Grams here. Then further quoting Grams here, culture, whether it is called in French, civilization, German, Landesgut, or English culture, is generally considered as information or ideas communicated by the language. You see, as information or ideas communicated by the language, not as a feature of language itself. Therefore, the educational objective of cultural awareness becomes an important aspect which is different from the study of language. So here comes our retrospection. How are we going to bring in this cultural awareness in our classrooms? Then further, Grams adds that if one sees language as a means of social practice, then culture is attributed as the fundamental aspect in language teaching. And when we think of culture, the notion of culture is comprehended in various ways by different teachers, researchers, by individuals in the society, right? Culture is perceived by some of us, by many teachers or individuals, as cultural products. It can be art, it can be poetry, it can be our dresses, it can be cultural artifacts, right? Monuments, beliefs, and more importantly, language, yeah, in particular. So the general trend in the field of second language education nowadays is the understanding of this culture. Though introduction of culture is emphasized in second language education, stressing importance of social interactions, but culture in the language classrooms is not always taught in a systematic manner. So so we need to look at the curriculums, and in finding ways to integrate culture in second language teaching, the English language classrooms function as a place to construct cultural content, to construct cultural content, which may enhance the understanding of culture through a study of the language use. So here brings in the importance of integrating culture and language and language, and so researching or going into it, finding out how do we bring it, how do we integrate it in our pedagogy becomes an important area to further our research. And yes, so these are the theoretical backgrounds which I have looked into when I was working on this lecture. So here, when we bring in language and culture, here I will be using the learner's cultural material to enhance language learning, right? Now, for that, I have used these Brunner's scaffolding, right? Scaffolding is a term coined by Brunner to describe a process where a more knowledgeable person, typically a teacher or adult, provides temporary adjustable support to help a learner accomplish task and that they could not do so at the stage without existence. So Brunner's belief, I quote here, learning should be the scaffold that builds on the learner's existing knowledge and understanding. Here, I'm looking at this existing knowledge and understanding as the scaffold to enhance the language learning process. So here, so existing knowledge and understanding, that would be the learner's culture, as you say. Culture can mean anything again, where we have discussed earlier. Culture can mean it's vast again. We can think of many things later on, right? Then the second point, the second theoretical perspective is Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory, wherein he says learning is always embedded in social context, and cognitive development and restructuring emerge out of dialogue and collaboration with more skilled others, whether they be teachers, peers, or family members. So here comes the importance of the socio-cultural elements, everything, right? So with this as a background, we continue with the next point, that is bilingualism. So a bit on bilingualism, right? Bilingualism, we all know it is a very important aspect with the National Education Policy 2020 also. Bilingualism, we all know it's a proficiency in 2 or more languages, bilingualism / multilingualism, right? Now, bilingualism, as we all know, it enhances cognitive skills, it creates various options for further education, broadens career opportunities, and is also more adaptable. Now, India is a land of diverse cultures and languages, and this is a pertinent aspect of multilingualism or bilingualism. It's a multicultural country. Yeah, the role of school in nurturing bilingualism is a vital feature in the society. So school plays a role in planning to develop the Indian languages. When we say the Indian languages, our culture, our indigenous culture comes into play here. So it also serves as a means to enhance the engagement of the learner's mother tongue. So in the national education policy, we have the indigenous cultural, the intervention of the indigenous culture, nurturing of the indigenous culture, and our mother tongue, our language too. So now a bit, Rose asserts that bilingualism assists in developing the 3 critical aspects of language learning, which are clarity, accuracy, and flexibility. And further, Harmer asserts that if students are linguistically not quite active in acquiring vocabulary while learning a language, some basic use of L1 is required to augment the learning process. In a language learning process, translation is a natural process and is believed to improve the language development aspects. And so, the use of bilingual method here. The bilingual method of foreign language teaching was developed by Wales, and it was based on these 3 principles. The first one is learners can understand the target language and learn more efficiently using their mother tongue. Second, teaching learning is simplified if the mother tongue is used, right? And the third one is enables the learner to learn in a natural environment. You see, the Vygotsky's, the socio-cultural environment comes into being here, and the scaffolding, Brunner's scaffolding part also. Then, Butscombe et al. Assert that in language learning, the mother tongue serves as an important asset. Mother tongue assists in the language acquisition support system. So they believe that in acquiring their mother tongue, the learners have already constructed the language learning system. This already constructed learning systems can be used in learning a second or foreign language. Therefore, the mother tongue of the learners can be used to enhance their cognitive and creative skills in the language learning process. So the mother tongue becomes the foundation of any language learning process, as it is a naturally acquired language. In this context, the cognitive potential of the mother tongue should be optimally used in learning the English language. Yes, and national education policy, just a bit of it, and after this we'll go to the classroom observations, right? National education policy 2020 of India recommends the use of bilingualism, multilingualism in classrooms. And according to the NEP 2020, if young learners are exposed to different languages, their cognitive skills are enhanced. To enhance the language learning process, to augment the overall development of the learners, the bilingual method and the process of learning the English language, and it also helps in nurturing and preserving the learners' indigenous cultural knowledge, language, and the Indian knowledge system. So NEP 2020, we have this quote again and again. We go back to this. So I would like to quote this from the policy document. I quote, "Whenever possible, the medium of instruction until at least grade 5, but preferably till grade 8 and beyond, will be the home language, mother language, local language, original language. Thereafter, the home local language shall continue to be taught as a language wherever possible. This will be followed by both public and private schools," unquote. So NEP 2020 asserts that in every possible way, the mother tongue will be taught as a language, and efforts will also be made to make the teaching learning materials available in the mother tongue. Of course, it's a Herculean task to do this. And I know every one of us, all of us in the educational, in this chain of the educational system, we are now trying our our best to bring in, to work on developing this materials, the cultural material, or we can say the materials in our mother tongue as well, right? Now, yes, I'll go to this. Yeah. Now, some theoretical foundation, foundation we went into, we have looked into. Now we come to the, I'm not going into detail, okay? I think the practical one would be more, the discussion would be more interesting, right? Here, I'm just sharing one study which I had conducted. Yeah, it's a part of a project, but this is just I was developing some material, so this is just a part of it. So this is a bilingual classroom. Here I'll be putting up the classroom intervention and the observations, right? This was, but the bilingual method was used, and using the cultural materials of the learners. So this study was carried out at a school in Imphal, Manipur, in Northeast India. The participants who took part in the study were English as a second language, students studying in class 6, and the number of student participants is 56 in number. Then the subject taught is English language. Then the student participants were around 12 to 13 years of age, and this conceptual phase is crucial as the learners begin to engage their creative and critical thinking abilities, which when guided and nurtured effectively can greatly enhance their development in both language and culture. So I employed the bilingual method here, bilingual method of education, to enhance the learning of English language, and the Manipuri language was used to enhance the understanding and critical learning of the English language. Manipur is inhabited by around by more than 38 communities. There are various communities in Manipur, and this was conducted in the capital city, Imphal. And the syllabus of this course as the English language is a taught course, and Manipuri language is the lingua franca. I also, Manipuri language is also my mother tongue. Then, as a part of the course and for the study, the students participants were taught the fundamentals of writing skills and how to develop the skills for effective writing. For the competency, for testing the competency level of the students, I used pre-test and post-test. And some of the topics which I used in the classroom interventions were, the first one is descriptive writing, describing a folk song based on listening activity. Second is visualization, description of a festival. Then pictures and objects. Then this is research the pictures and objects, describe and comment. And again, the last point is videos. This I'm giving just some I'm showing some examples here. Then pre-test observation. Yes, before the materials were introduced in the supplementary materials were introduced in the classroom. I started with this. I gave them a topic titled "A Rainy Day." Yes, I could see the basic knowledge of writing skills were available with them. Were okay but I could see the limited use of vocabulary and lack of visual elements. And this was an individual work. Then the post-test observations. Here, the four topics which I discussed earlier, which I showed earlier, were discussed, were discussed in the class. Then the first one, that is descriptive writing. I used the bilingual method here, and emphasis was given to working in groups. Then the topic for the first one was descriptive writing. Here, I used the folk song of the Lai Harauba Festival of Manipur. Lai Harauba is a social festival of the Meitei community of Manipur. Meitei community is remember I mentioned there are around more than 38 communities, so Meitei community is one amongst them. This festival, Lai Harauba, is celebrated to venerate the Sylvan deities. The folk song is in the Manipuri language. After playing the folk song, I described the Lai Harauba festival in English, right? The folk song is played in the Manipuri language. Then brief, I summarized in English. For enhancing the meaning of the folk song, I described the origin of the song in Manipuri and also English language. So the student participants are guided to write a brief note on the folk song. So during the listening task, they are guided to write the important points. Based on these points, they are instructed to introduce the folk song and write about its origin and cultural implications in English language, right? So this is a picture of the Lai Harauba dance. It's a dance performed during the Lai Harauba festival. Right. So this is the pictorial representation, and yes, the observation, some examples of their writing. So the introduction and the explanation of the folk song in the bilingual approach made the student participants feel at home and comfortable. These are some of the lines which I got from their writings. Of course, there were some errors. These are, remember classic students. Errors, the subject-verb agreement could be noted here. And they were coming out with interesting sentences. The sentences. See, people wear colorful dresses. They wear traditional dresses. They come up with the term traditional dresses and all. And there were lots of discussion when this was shown. Because the Manipuri language was also used, and the English language was also used, so there were lots of interactions again, as they felt at ease. Then I guided them to little writing, and then these are some observations. So they tend to, as they are clear and excited about the content, and the student participants were clear with their objectives and the content, the vocabulary they used were limited again. They tend to use more of compound sentences, which because of this, they were grammatical mistakes as well. So this observation was made, and now in the second part, that was the first part, and in the second part, we have the visualization. For teaching this English language using visualization, I narrated the Gangnai festival of Manipur. Remember, these are all the Laharawa festival, the Gangnai festival. These are all cultural representations of the various communities of Manipur. Right? I'm just giving an example. We can use this model for wherever you belong, wherever culture, wherever you belong. Right? Then. So for this Gangnai festival, it is a festival of the Jelrangrong community of Manipur, another community of Manipur, Jelrangrong. So the festival is a post-harvest festival celebrated to revere the ancestors of the community. Firstly, I recounted the origin of the Gangnai festival, and then narrated and described the 5-day cultural celebrations of the festival. So this was visualization. I narrated in the Manipuri language and the English language. Then all these narrations are done in English and Manipuri language, and this was a group activity. It was divided into groups of 7, and based on the narrations, the learners are asked to visualize the festival and discuss the vocabulary related to the content in groups. Then each group was asked to write 10 lines on the festival. So here it was observed that the student participants found the narration fascinating. Okay, then it was a visual delight, and as it was done in a bilingual mode, and the use of Manipuri words made it easy to comprehend and visualize the festival. Right? Then they could visualize the Gangnai festival and made wonderful observations. Right? Simple one. See, is the Festival of Manipur, grand festival. Then many things were done, and especially they remembered, because these festivals are performed in the locality, within the locality, so everyone is aware. But so when they are asked to describe, they become fascinated, they become excited, and they started coming out. They were using many Manipuri words as well. Of course, Jelrangrong community, they have their language is different again, so they come out with their language, and then they were again comparing with other languages and culture also. Then the next one is the third point is showing of pictures, objects, and pictures and objects. So here, these pictures were used, and after showing these pictures, they are divided into 3 groups, and the 3 pictures are assigned to each group, and they are given a day. They were given a day, and they were asked to come to the next day to describe about the pictures. So for this, the first picture, this was a group activity, and when it's a group activity, they all come together, they all enjoy. Of course, there were some students who were not contributing, so that also I intervened, and then we kind of brought it together, right? But yes, it takes time. Yeah, as a bilingual approach was adopted, the student participants explored and researched the topics in a natural environment. They went home, they discussed with their friends, neighbors, parents, and then they came out. So this group discussion also enabled them to enhance their speaking skills in the target language. It was found that the group activity made them come up with an effective piece of writing that describes and brings forth the origin, cultural relevance and beauty of the pictures provided to them. Remember the discussion, everything. This was the writing skills, the teaching of writing skills, right? The objective was teaching of writing skills. Though bilingual method was used, the ultimate objective is to enhance their English writing skills in English. So they came out, they wrote, and while the first picture, this is the first picture, this is the Kasan and Kachon. This wraparound and the shawl. Kasan and Kachon, they belong to the Tangkhul community of Manipur. And remember, Jalarangong, Meitei community, then this Tangkhul community, they all, I'm just giving an example, right? So they all speak different languages also. And here, Manipuri language is the lingua franca again. Then, so the students could bring about their cultural relevance and its rich cultural textile heritage were also discussed. They also briefly explored the culture of the Tangkhul community. It was also observed that the student participants were excited and motivated to learn about the culture and the culture of the various communities of Manipur. Remember, when this were discussed, I didn't use when these materials were brought in the classroom, were designed as supplementary materials for the classroom. I used the material, the classroom materials belonging to various communities of Manipur. So that way they become involved. They kind of started comparing and critiquing among the various culture, right? Then the second, they also then so one thing was the excitement and motivation. The motivation level was also increased, was enhanced, and the origin. The next picture is this picture is a musical instrument. This is called penna, and this was played. This is still played. It is played. It is still played now in the Lai Harawa festival. Remember the first description, the descriptive activity which I described, the Lai Harawa festival. So this musical instrument, which is called penna, is even now played during this festival. So the students, what they did, they also brought a video where penna was performed in the festival, and they it like they relate with the festival, and it's the cultural relevance were also brought in. So when we bring in the cultural relevance, when the comparison comes here, the of the various communities, the cultural items of the cultural traditions or the culture of the various communities, we also in a way we enhance the harmony and respect for one another. Remember, the learners belong to various communities, right? So they kind of increase, they want to know about the other community. The respect, the harmony also increases, right? So this was also observed again. Then the third one is, this is called this is a boat. This is called Hyang Hiren. This is still there in a place called Kangla. Kangla is the seat of the kings of Manipur. This boat is called Hyang Hiren. It's the boat of Manipur. It was so this is still there in this place called Kangla in Imphal. So Manipur was princely state. It was ruled by kings before Manipur became before Manipur became in India. Manipur was Manipur came to India actually, right? So this cultural relevance and the historical relevance also brought in, because the pictures were given to them, right? So the students came out with a historical, even many students didn't know also, so but they came out because they went for a research and then they came out with this. So then this activity made the learners enhance their motivation, creativity, and cognitive skills, thereby augmenting their learning of the language. Now the last one, do I still have time? Yeah, I still have time. Madam Naisi, do I still have time?
Yes, ma'am. You can take another 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm finishing. I'm wrapping up now. Yeah. So the last is videos, the videos, right? So here, I don't have, I don't have time now to show you the video. This is videos, the use of videos, research the video and write a critical comment. Remember, before it was descriptive writing, and yeah, and comparison. Now I'm going further, and then we are discussing the writing of critical comments. The first thing was they started slowly with the descriptive writing, and then slowly we come to the critical, to writing a critical comment, right? So in this activity, this ikam lam. Ikam lam is again a traditional dance of Manipur. This is a traditional dance of the Monsang community of Manipur. It's a harvest festival again. And so in this activity, where they had to write a critical note on the Ikam Lam and Ikam dance, the participants received the instructions well, and the teacher used, and I used the bilingual method. So the students found the activity interesting as it pertains to the culture of one of the communities of Manipur. Remember, many didn't know about this festival of the Monsang community again. So they started coming out, oh, there are many festivals, many festivals which we do not know, right? So these observations were there, and there are many sentences which I have put up again here. So it started with the descriptive writing. Here also we can see errors there, right? And then when we come to the critical writing, see, culture show the life of people. See, of course, subject, there were many mistakes in the subject verb agreement, and uh, okay, and now what we see is the observation here is, after they were done with the descriptive writing, they started analyzing the dance and the festival. In writing the critical note, the students started observing the dance and festival in the context of the culture of the Monsang community. Now, uh, uh, they have cognitively taken in the concept of culture and shown it by analyzing the relevance of Ikam dance and festival. The use of the bilingual method also enhances the learner the understanding of the concept of culture and use it in critically examining the dance and festival. The use of the Manipuri language and the cultural material of Manipur in the classroom made the students feel at ease, and this improves their motivation and greatly assist in the learning the English language. Now, to conclude, uh, I was sharing the classroom intervention here, and so for the conclusion is the enhancement of the cognitive skills in the learners can induce an effective language learning process, and the use of bilingual method, right? Using cultural materials. Remember, I use cultural materials, yeah, to enhance, to integrate the learning of language and culture. Remember, culture is used, but the end objective was to learn the language. So here I integrated culture as a material to enhance the language learning process. And this has helped in creating cultural awareness, in bringing about cultural awareness. So the use of these cultural materials is believed to enhance cognitive skills, then assisted the learners in augmenting their motivation and creativity. Remember, it was fun in all these activities, right? Learners' comprehension of the content was enhanced due to the use of their mother tongue. Yeah. Then the materials used were festivals, folk songs, folk dance, cultural artifacts, and they belong to the various communities of Manipur. This has helped in, this is a very good way of creating harmony and respect among various communities, right? Then, and in doing all this, in engaging all this, it has helped in enhancing the cultural knowledge of the students, thereby contributing to preserving and nurturing their culture. So here we do not only learn the English language, but also we learn, we safeguard, we nurture our culture. So the takeaway for today's discussion, I should say, is our mother language or our mother tongue plays a very significant role in the language learning process. And We need to develop indigenous cultural materials. Yeah, we need to develop and nurture the indigenous cultural materials. It is the need of the hour to look into ourselves according to NEP 2020 again, right? It's yes, not only NEP 2020, but in the current context, in the current situation, it is the need of the hour to look into ourselves, into our culture, into our language, our mother tongue, to enrich ourselves and focus on promoting intellectual aptitude and values that encourage critical thinking and cultural sensitivity that underlie the inclusive approaches to learning.
Srikumar sir has raised hand. So would you like to ask a question?
Yes. We listened to your session, very interesting and insightful session. What I felt is that when teachers are teaching from the textbook alone, the kind of the story that you narrated will not be possible because they will be following the NCERT textbook, which will have a national character, but not a local flavor. So I think that generation of the material suited to the local condition or involving them in the local community, that will be a task of the teacher to follow. Is it that way?
Yes. Right. Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, you're right. So there comes material development, right? Material development. And we may say that this is possible only for the state board, so as to say, state board. Even for the state board, sir, I'm working with it. I am working in Meghalaya now, but I'm from Manipur. So even the state board, when we put up this in Manipur, an example, if I put up in Manipur, they say that we have a syllabus to cover. The syllabus do not, because they have to cover the syllabus, right? We have exams, everything. So that looks very good, but that's a problem there. So what I would like to bring in here is we need to work on the material development area. There, even in the central board, NCERT, ICSE, CBSE boards, even there, if the material, we come together, the educationists, the teachers, we all come together, researchers, we all come together, and if we can, share, if you can't start sharing, like, sir, where do you belong, sir? Where are you from?
I belong to Kerala.
Kerala, yes.
Kerala.
From Kerala, if you could, develop some materials, a page or 2 pages on a festival, right? And so if we can share that, we can connect it. That way, it's a very, of course, it's difficult, we can say, but we have to start trying. We have to also look at we are into an era of decolonizing, right? So we need to look into ourselves. This is my personal feel, and I have been working in this area, sir. I'm still working, developing materials, translating, So it's a Herculean task, as forget the central NCERT and all, even the state board, it's very difficult for me to convince them, sir. So, but we cannot stop, right? Otherwise, if we failed, then I think the legacy, our young learners, we will not get it. If it's in the oral per se, if it's in the oral version, and nowadays kids, our children, they are into technology, and if we do not write it down, if we do not bring this culture, I think we will be making a big mistake, right, sir? So we have to try, I think, sir. You have a very valid point there. It's difficult, but we have to try, sir.
So apart from the skills that you mentioned, did the storytelling skill emerge as something from this experiment? The one you conducted with the 5th standard students, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Does it improve their imagination skills or
Yes.
their creativity? How was that developed in the process?
Yes, sir. And one observation was the storytelling. Yes, there were many. They in that school where I went, there were some. There were around 6 students who belong to other communities. Majority belong to the Meitei community of Manipur, and around 6 to 7 of them belong to other communities. So that way, when the cultural material of other communities were used, and that were visible there. So they came up and they started narrating their own cultural experiences, cultural materials, as I should say, the folk song or the traditional beliefs, right, which they have heard. And other students, remember the majority of the Meitei community students, also they were like listening to them, and then it became a sort of cultural exchange. So this was one observation, sir. And why not? Yes, storytelling is a very important part. And then if they do not have vocabulary, and I let them use the Manipuri language, but because even I got, people asking me, why are you using the Manipuri language when you are teaching the target language? So this method, I used the bilingual method, and slowly they came with it. Of course, there were pronunciation problems and all, but that's not an important point. So as long as they come up. And one more thing, one observation I think I didn't share with you all, they were more into the content, when they were narrating. As I think you must, sir, you must have also realized, when we start talking about culture, about the stories, about the folk songs, they forget the language, the competency of the language. They came up, they started narrating, so that's my experience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm.
We have another question from Sneha. Says, if a classroom is not culturally homogeneous, how to bring in culture as an element of pedagogy within the limits of the classroom?
Yes, that I think I have discussed this also earlier, I think, when yeah. So it was of course the classroom, it belonged to various communities, right? So in a way, when I started narrating the Lai Harawa festival, which belongs to one community, the others started narrating. I gave them time. Of course, this takes time again, as in this with our normal classroom, it is difficult. But this was an experiment. Of course, if we work into it, we can bring it. We can even look at the time management as well. So when I started with this Lai Rauba festival, the students were like, they started, and then many people, Lai Rauba is a, what do you call it? It's a common festival, so mostly everyone knew this, and they started. The other students belonging to other community, they also started narrating a festival like Lai Haraba festival. So I gave them time to share their the common what do you call link, the festival, the comparison I let them do, and then that is how they started sharing the stories. As sir has mentioned, yes, stories were shared. Stories in the sense they're the festivals, the traditions, the rites and rituals were shared, and that is how I felt. In a way, if we, that's why when I in this classroom, when I say cultural material, I use the cultural material of the various communities of Manipur, of some of the communities of Manipur. That way, they come out, they try to come out, and I encourage them also. And this has helped to, to bring in more respect and I should say harmony. Yeah, bring in together respect. That respect is very important. Oh, we also have this, oh, you also have, oh, so nice, what. So it's almost similar, this type of comments, this type of sharing comes in here. So I think we need to give them time Yeah, give them time to share their experiences, to share their stories. Yes, Neha,
Okay.
I hope I have answered you your question.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
that's good. That was a good answer, ma'am.
Mm.
We have another question from Sudha. How diverse learning styles can be effectively addressed in the classroom to promote student engagement and achievement?
Um, Madam, can you come back again? Mm.
Yeah, there's a question from Sudha PK.
Mm-mm.
How diverse learning styles can be effectively addressed in the classroom to promote student engagement and achievement?
Yes, diverse learning styles. As in, you're talking about this multimodals and all, the use of ICT and all. When you say diverse, it can be anything, right? Multi-modes. We nowadays we have this multimodal, multimodal learning, right? By use,
Mm.
yeah, by using internet, mobile
Yeah,
phones,
ഇടപെടട്ടെ.
by using pictures, videos, right? So in a way, this has helped in yes student engagement. You come up with a video, you show them a a documentary, you know documentary of a festival or documentary of an elephant and how the conservation of elephants are important. If you show them and if you start the students, they start thinking, they start engaging in what do you call in describing in also thoughtful um, discussions. Yes, it does bring in very constructive engagement, student engagement, and yes, we should use this. And then even by giving them these projects and all, the working on projects, let them go about it, yes, and then let them come back, and then let them do in the classroom. Yes, it helps.
Thank you, ma'am, for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have another question from Sandhya. Do you think watching shows or listening to songs in a foreign language helps you understand the culture better, and how?
Yes, of course. Yeah, language, the songs, the shows. Yeah, if uh, like here, I work in the English and Foreign Languages University here in Shillong, Meghalaya. We also have, of course, I'm from English language teaching. We have foreign languages, right? So foreign language learners, the teachers, for example. Suppose we have a Spanish teacher, and uh, for him it's difficult. The professor, for him it's difficult to be in touch because there are no Spanish speakers again, right? So what he does for his classroom, suppose he has got around 5 or 6 learners in the classroom, right? So by bringing in, and they are the beginners, we can say, the certificate course, you can say. They go from the certificate course. So what he does, well, he looked into, he uses all this the videos, the shows, okay, and the dialogue, simple dialogues first, and then he also brings in. And what he says was, he also he's in touch with French, with Spaniards, so they have a group, and then they chat, that's how he keeps updated. So, and also through all this the songs, the shows and all, it really helps, right? Yeah. So I think it does, and even in English language also it does. And even the famous poem Daffodils, right, by Wordsworth. When we speak of daffodils, we go to the land, and then we go to the place, and then we go to the place to England, right? So that way we bring in. So the argument here is, uh, if the Brunner's constructivism theory, if we know this learner's language, if you are if we are aware, the cultural awareness of the learner, right, then the language learning becomes easy. So in that way, any foreign language, maybe Spanish or English language, or maybe French or any language, if you know the culture, if you learn through the by bringing in the cultural awareness, if you integrate culture and language, then the learning becomes more enjoyable and fun, and also it may enhance also. This is what it is. I think the whole point is, the whole argument is this, right? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, for that.
Yeah.
We have another question from Kumari Urvashi. Bharati, nowadays parents only ask the school for English communication. In that conditions, how to make them understand about NEP 2020 rules?
Yes. English language is also very important. We can't do away with that, right? English language is very important. Even though NEP 2020 we does not talk about English language, right? We do have, it's assumed that English language is there everywhere because we have got translations. Remember, NEP 2020 talks about translation, and the translation is from what? From the English language, right, to the mother tongue of the learners, okay, or the indigenous material, the language, right, be converted to English language again. And so it's not like English language is neglected there. English language is a part of everything, because it's stated that the translation should be there. English language is there, right? And there, on top of the English language, it is essential, it is necessary for us to learn the mother tongue. This is what it is. So NEP 2020 does not go, we do not go away from English language, right? English language still plays a very important role, and yes, we should go ahead and learn and make it, make our learners, be proficient in English language also. At the same time, we can request the parents. Yes, we can tell them that as English language is essential, so do our culture, so do our language, right? If we do not speak, if I do not speak my mother tongue, then who else will speak? So to carry forward our legacy, to carry forward our, our legacy, yes, we need to work on our mother tongue as well. So it's not only English language, but our mother tongue also, right? Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. We have one last question from Shirley. How can we assess the impact of cultural awareness and language learning on cognitive skills in students?
Yes. Oh, that's see, that you will come to know. And the first professor today asked about the material used, right? Now, when we talk about the effectiveness of this cultural awareness, when you use, see, a prose text, suppose you have got the last lesson, suppose it's a prose, right? Now, if you teach that and if you bring your cultural, your, local context, you can give examples and bring in the local context, right? And give a comparison. Or suppose with daffodils, suppose you are doing daffodils and then you are bringing a local poem, yeah? So you bring in and then compare it, okay? And that way, they get to think, they get to work on their culture, right? The learners automatically see when the local cultural material or any culture for that sort, if you bring, because we cannot do away with English literature, with British literature now, right? So, or British literature or American literature. So we bring a comparative analysis of it. Okay, that way the critical learning, you will come to know. You give them work, they will do it. Okay. So if you bring the cultural awareness, the critical part comes in. This is what I have realized, because when you use the learners cultural material, they have to do it. They do it. Okay. You can try it out. I think you have tried it out also. Yeah. So the thinking part is there. It's not just summary there. Whatever their observations, whatever their experiences comes out there. So that is critical thinking. Yeah. So therefore, culture, the use of culture, it becomes a significant aspect in language learning. This is what I found. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that.
Yeah.
So as we come, yeah, can we take one last question, ma'am? Is it possible?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, there's
It's
one
interesting
question
also.
from,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one
Yeah.
question from Justin. How can technology support the integration of local and global cultures in pedagogy?
That is the most important point there, because how to make it, how to reach out to people, that is technology. Yeah, good you brought it out, Justin, right? Good you brought it out, because the accessibility. I have developed materials, right? I have developed materials. I feel this is very good. This culture is not known to whatever I have discussed now. I think it's not known to you, Naisi, madam, right? It's not known to you. Right, you might have heard, but not in detail, the various communities of Manipur and all. So, Justin, you got it right here. If we make it available online, if we digitized it, then this is the best way of reaching out to people, and also for documentation. Yeah. Glad we ended on this question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes.
So, ma'am, as a conclusion, would you like to share anything for our teachers?
Yeah, it
As a
was
final
nice.
message.
The questions you brought up, all practical. As I'm also a teacher, I also do this research. Yeah. So very practical, and I'm really, really glad that you brought up. And then I think we all work together to make this NEP work also. We are still, scratching our heads, right, for this NEP 2020. And, we are looking at it. We are working. All the best. Let's do it together. Let's share, especially I work in these cultural materials. You all can share. Please start, please, whatever you're doing in the classroom, please note it down. Please write papers on that, right? We are all academicians. Please share. And as the last, the last one, Justin asked about digitization. Yes, if we could all share, even now, this through these teams, we are meeting online, every one of you here. Yeah. So best wishes, all the best. Nice talking to you all.